Hey folks, Luxinda Swirl here. We are going to open yet another package of glitter I just got. This is from a company I haven't ordered from before. It's called, well, the original store is called Sandy's Organized Chaos on Etsy. And she broke off her glitter production. She custom blends glitter that she uses on her tumblers, which is what Sandy's Organized Chaos sells. That's where her tumblers are listed. And she has been blending her own glitter for those tumblers, and she broke away, started another store on Etsy just to sell the glitter. And I grabbed these 4 colors when she first opened this new store. So now we are going to unveil, hopefully if I can get this open, unveil those 4 colors, and then I will set up my area here and show you what we're going to do. So let's see what we got. Drum roll. They're really stuck in here real good. Okay, this is Aquamarine. It's not pretty. It's 2 ounces, and it's a blend of all different sizes. I think it's fine, regular, and then there's chunky in here as well. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? So that's the Aquamarine. That's one that we'll be using. I will, like I said, I will link to both her store. I'll link to the tumbler store and to the glitter store in the description below. Here is Gold Rush. These are all, like I said, these are all, I think, a blend of fine, regular, and then chunky of complementary colors and cuts. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, look at that. I can't wait to use that too. We are not using this one in this video, but I am looking forward to using it, definitely. Oh, here's one we're using. Save that for next. Lavender Lush. All right, we're going to use this one. Ooh, look at that sparkle. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay. Put that over here. And last we have Cherry Bomb. Oh, it's bright red. Look at that. Beautiful. Gorgeous red. All right, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So here's what's going to happen. I have 2 30-ounce skinny tumblers. I have sanded them, cleaned them, and spray painted them with a coat of Rust-Oleum 2X. This one is in purple, obviously. This one is in Aquamarine. And that is exactly how we are going to match our glitters to them. Lavender Lush will go on here, Aquamarine on the turquoise Aquamarine. I am going to use the Epoxy Method to adhere the glitter to the cups. I usually do the tack it method by brushing on Aleene's tack it over and over glue, letting it dry, and then applying the glitter and rubbing it flat. It produces a really cool effect, especially with holographic glitter. But because this has some chunky elements to it, I wanted to try the Epoxy Method for this. And what that entails is putting an extremely thin layer of epoxy, just enough really to be a glue, not to flow alcohol inks on it or anything like that. Just a very little amount, like 1 or 2 milliliters. And I'm going to try and achieve that by taking my heat gun and heating the tumblers up first, and then putting just a little bit of epoxy on and spreading it as thin as I can. And then I will apply the glitter, and that's that. I will do one tumbler at a time. And hopefully, even though I'm using the liquid stone Chaos resin, it has 15-minute working time. With any luck, I should be able to get this done within the 15-minute time period once I mix these two guys, or mix the 2 parts together. It'll be 5 milliliters of hardener and 5 milliliters of resin will give me 10 milliliters total, which is way more than I need, but probably the smallest amount I can measure effectively. If I try and measure smaller amounts than that, I probably will screw up the ratio or something and get it wrong. So I'm going to gear up You won't hear me talking anymore. You'll just watch what I'm doing, but it should follow what I just described. And then we'll come back and see how our tumblers turned out and go on to the next step from there. So hang tight and enjoy the show. Hey folks, we're back. Let's see how our tumblers did. They're still here. Nobody fell off their turner, thank goodness. There's the other one over there. So I wanted to just very briefly touch on a couple things. First off, you saw me make a hash of trying to get my beautiful aquamarine glitter from the parchment paper back into the bag. That was a disaster, and I've lost so much of that gorgeous glitter. I think I may be able to recover some of it that landed in the edges of my, what I use for my base, which is actually the top of the plastic bin that I cover it with for protection. But, you know, it's all going in my dump collection instead of back into the bag. So if you take a look at my two colors, this is how much I recovered after covering the the lavender tumbler. And then this is how much I had left after covering the aquamarine tumbler and then losing a ton of glitter when I couldn't get the parchment paper to work. So lesson learned there. The other thing I wanted to mention was you saw me, and I didn't mention it in the beginning when I described how this was going to work. You saw me take the parchment paper after I'd recovered as much glitter as I could and pat the sides and the bottom of this with the parchment paper. And the idea there is to push everything flat, especially the big chunky pieces, so that I don't have to glop on like 3 layers of epoxy now to cover all the glitter. I may have to do 2 layers of epoxy now because I want a nice smooth surface on these so I can apply a decal. But I should have tamped down most of the big pieces of glitter so that they won't be sticking up and causing me problems that I have to deal with. So that's the next step. I'm going to take these outside and spray them with my Rust-Oleum 2X clear spray just to hold the glitter on. It's on there with the Epoxy Method, but I want to make sure it's anchored before I put more epoxy on. So I'm going to do that. I'll bring it back, put 1, maybe 2 layers of epoxy on, and then I will bring you back for the application of the decals. So stay tuned. Hey folks, we're back. I wanted to bring you up to date. I have sprayed both of these tumblers that you last saw when I was glittering them. I sprayed them with Rust-Oleum 2X Clear Matte, and then I put on 2 layers of epoxy resin to each tumbler. And the reason I did that is because after the first layer, there were still a lot of pieces of glitter sticking up just a little bit. Thanks to patting it down with the parchment paper, it wasn't bad, but they did need a second coat. So I took my Dremel with the sanding attachment and I sanded off the top rim to expose the metal. That will give the final layer of epoxy somewhere to cling to that will seal everything below it in. So that's why you want to do that. I did also have to sand a few spots, especially along the bottom, that were still a little bit jaggedy from the chunky glitter. And there were a couple other spots on the cup. I don't know if you can see. I sanded just a little bit. So don't worry about this because as soon as we put on the next layer of epoxy, all of the sanding and scratches will disappear and it will be bright and sparkly and shiny again. But that's why you sand things down, to make sure that the last layer is really the last layer and nothing else is going to be poking through. So now I'm going to add my decal. Let's see, I want to put this somewhere where you can actually watch me do it. I have a decal. I've already cut it out on my Cricut and weeded it. And now I'm going to hopefully apply it. Here's what it says. There goes the very last fuck I gave, ... And I want to get it as straight as I can on here. I have a nice smooth surface thanks to my sanding. And whoop, I want to put the middle down first, and I want it to be straight. So I'm using the rulers and going to smooth it out from the middle outwards. There's that. I'm going to take my burnishing tool or my squeegee, whatever you want to call it, that came with my Cricut, and burnish the bejeebers out of it so that it sticks to the epoxy and lets go of the transfer tape. see this? And then slowly but surely, and hopefully, I will move my hand out of the way so you can see. I pull it back like this very slowly, so if there is any piece of a letter that comes up with it, I have time to push it back down onto the cup instead of just pulling it off straight out and having letters, or in this case, the dot, dot, dot part come along with it. I'm a little nervous about those dots. I lost one already. I had to fish it out of the weed pile and try and put it back in place. So we'll see if it sticks now, or if it, yay, it did. You probably can't see it. There we go, there are my dots, and my 3 period there. Dot, 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 okay. And there we go. Pitch that, take this off, and there it is, folks. There goes the very last fuck I gave. I will put something at the beginning of this video that warns you there are F-bombs involved. I tend towards this because I sort of feel like this some days. Okay, so now I'm going to put the same decal on the Aquamarine tumbler. I won't bore you with that because you just saw me do it on the one. It's going to be the same process. And then I will put them both back on turners, apply one more layer of epoxy, and they will be done. They will be ready to go as is to a customer, or if somebody wants personalization, then I can add one more vinyl decal on the other side with a name or a monogram of some sort, and then do yet another final layer. There are a lot of layers of epoxy involved in tumblers. I'll warn you right now. But anyway, there you have it. So I'll bring you back one more time for the big reveal when it's all done. Stay tuned.